Aloha and good day. This is Clint Hansen with Maui Luxury Real Estate, and we're broadcasting on Maui Real Estate Radio. You can listen to this and any and all shows at mauirealestateradio.com. We're broadcasting on the KAOI radio group Mondays, 7 a.m. at 11:10 a.m., 98.7 FM, 96.7 FM, and our friends on the west side at 95.5 FM. We have Deb Lynch with us today of Cup of Cold Water, and of course, my co-host, Byron Yap of Axia Home Loans. Thank you so much for both joining me today. How are you doing?
Good.
Very well, thank you.
All right. So Deborah, is it Deborah or is it Deb? Just straight.
Deb.
Deb. All right, Deb. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, your program, and how you reach out to people?
All right. Oh, well, let's see. A Cup of Cold Water has been in existence for almost about 7 years. It was started by Keku Akana, who was, the assistant police chief, and he and some of the other officers were just so sorry and tired of seeing people digging through dumpsters to get food and things like that. So he put it together, and it was all started by the little Episcopalian churches, the 4 little churches here on Maui. Mm-hmm. It is not solely exclusive to Episcopalians. Now we have, the Buddhists make us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we have people from all faiths and no faiths at all coming and helping and volunteering. So we're all very, very inclusive that way. And what we do basically pre-pandemic, we have a van. And in the van, we put water and we put food and hygiene and first aid, things like towels and blankets, clothes and shoes and slippers and tarps and things like that. And the van would 3 times a week, Wednesdays in Central Maui, Saturdays in Lahaina, and on Sundays in Kihei, drive around looking for where the unsheltered are and give them these necessary items to help them survive on the streets. A Cup of Cold Water is 100% volunteer. Nobody gets paid at all, and they never have been. We also do not accept any government money.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, no, none. So we've been doing that, and we've been doing that for years. This way, it's a kind, compassionate ministry. We're not trying to change the world. We're just trying to go out and build relationships and reach out and let people know that they are cared about. And I guess it's really important nowadays because a lot of times people are afraid or don't like the unsheltered here on Maui. And we've referred to it as unsheltered because the people that we meet don't feel they are homeless because Maui is their home. Mm-hmm. They're just unhoused or unsheltered. And so we go out in the mornings and with a team of at least 2, sometimes 3 or 4, we welcome guest riders all the time to come with us. We leave in the morning from Good Shepherd Church up in Wailuku about 8 o'clock, and we're usually done by 11 a.m. It's not an all day long thing. And we go out and we look for people. And it was hard with the pandemic because we would talk with them and spend time and give them hugs, and you can't do that with the pandemic.
Yeah.
So that was a real challenge. Let's see. I've been part of the Cup of Cold Water since about 6 months after it started. Only taking a little time off when my husband was diagnosed with cancer. He's now in remission and he's all good. So
fantastic!
So then I came out and became a volunteer that goes on the van, and then we have what we call run leaders, and these people drive the vans and they're responsible for the van, the information, and the safety of everybody. And then years went past, and I joined the board, and then just before the pandemic hit in January of 2020, I became president of the board of directors there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right when the storm starts.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge, but we worked through it. We did at times have to suspend runs because most of our volunteers are in the age and health risk categories, or they have loved ones at home. And we certainly didn't want to, at the beginning of the pandemic, even think about bringing the virus into the unsheltered communities because some of them have health issues. To work. So we were trying to be very cautious. But when we did have suspensions, what we did is our wonderful supply team that works. We call them the supply angels. We packaged up things like hygiene packs, snack packs and stuff, and we would bring them out to places like Salvation Army, who would hand them out. These are basically other ministries that were active out there still, were our hands. And so we would do that. So we didn't completely suspend. We were just sort of backstage doing things quietly, but we're out there on runs again now. We always go back out as soon as we possibly could. Sometimes the people are really kind people, and we've tried to just help them survive while the other agencies are up getting their programs, trying to help people get into shelter if they want to, or permanent housing if they want to. It would be nice. I'd like to see all of us work together towards helping the people that are out there in the unsheltered community. Right now, Maui does not have an emergency shelter for anyone to go into. So if somebody it's 5 o'clock, says I really have to get off the streets, there is literally no place for them to go. So we really think it's kind ministry. Yeah.
A couple questions I was thinking about pre-pandemic versus the pandemic now. Have you seen an increase in the unsheltered? And then the second thing is, how do you find, like, how does Cup of Water find the unsheltered? Is there certain locations you go to, or how does that happen?
Yeah. To answer your first question, no, we've not seen an increase in the unsheltered because in Hawaii here, a lot of times families will take care of each other here, we found. So to our surprise, remained fairly stable. The other thing that surprised us too is, as now that we're at this point, is to see that actually the COVID virus was very little in the unsheltered communities at all. Perhaps it's being out in the fresh air and sunshine and the trade winds and things like that, but that kind of surprised us. We thought, oh, they are vulnerable, but apparently that community didn't quite get it. Let's see, what was the second question?
The second one was, like, do you go to a specific location, or do you know where the unsheltered are sitting and you drive there and stop there in the Wailuku area? How does one find you, or you find them?
Yes, we do. We do go to some very specific spots that we track, but we also look around. Those of us who are volunteers, if we're driving around downtown, for example, and we see maybe a cluster of people that seem to be new, we'll go there in the van and see if they're there and serve them. But yes, we do. We go to Kanaha Park, and of course, if anybody wants any items from us to come to Good Shepherd Church just before 8 o'clock on Wednesday mornings, we're there loading the van and more than happy to get people some items and food and clothing and things that they need. So that's always a given. So we do have some basic regular, well, I would call them almost like routes that we go to, that we stop, and the word gets out that we are going to be stopping here at one place and we'll stop at another. And we ask people to share that information with us. The other thing is we have a phone number, and we tell people to call the number. If you see people, or if you're in a location, you want us to come and try and find you to bring things to you, please call and let us know where you are. After the sweep at Amala Place, we did that. We said to people, please, you're going to be going probably somewhere else and relocating. Let us know where we are, and we can come find you and bring things to you.
I first learned about a cup of cold water when I was going to the Kihei Community Association meetings, and we were working towards the mobile showers, so that they can have resources and another way to connect to the unsheltered that are out there, and give them opportunities to clean up and get resources. Now, this to me is really brilliant, because a lot of times people go up and they say, are you homeless or something like that, which can, like you said, people consider Maui their home, and going out and reaching and offering something to somebody is a lot better approach. And, a cup of cold water is a great way to, start a conversation and get a dialogue going with these people. And because they are a part of the Maui community, and they do need help. I mean, these sometimes are, chronically unsheltered, where they've been out there for their whole lives. I mean, I know Dave in Kihei, he's the guy that looks like a small wizard, walking around, and he's on Halama mostly. And I've known him since I was probably 6 years old, and I'm 40 now. So he's been out on the street for a very long time. And it's good to hear that people are trying to, get out there and connect with them. But my big surprise in talking to you right now is there actually hasn't been a whole lot of change since the pandemic started. Wow, I would have figured it would have been a very significant increase. I mean, just from an exterior over the last decade, I've felt I've seen a pretty big increase. But yeah, I mean, I guess thinking about the last 2 years and the numbers that have been increasing, I guess it hasn't been too much. I definitely noticed large collections of unsheltered people from where Lahaina begins, all the way out to the Ukamehame. There's fortunately the county is working more towards putting facilities in, like porta potties and whatnot. But it seems to be the majority of people are on that little section of the island. I mean, what have you noticed? Where's your big congregations of people?
Well, before they changed the things down at Amala Place near the water treatment plant, that was we would have 60 people easily, and during the pandemic they were collected there, and they actually managed. I called it the village, and down there, and they managed it themselves really, really fairly well. Nighttime things were different down there for people. But so that's there. But yes, along from Lahaina, like Puamana and all those areas there, because they have the bypass now, so that road isn't used as heavily as it used to be before the bypass was put in. So I'm not surprised to have a lot of people. We haven't had enough volunteer run leaders come back in to be able to restart our Saturday runs again up in the Lahaina area. We had just started the Sunday runs when the Delta variant hit, and we had to pull back on that, but we're going to be starting those again very soon in Kihei. So we have our Central Maui runs. We elected during the pandemic to go with Central Maui because Central Maui has always consistently been the highest number of people we've served. Oh, no. And that was why we chose the Central Maui area. And then we'll branch to Sundays, and then we'll branch to Saturdays, because fortunately Maui Rescue Mission, which is another wonderful group, also serves up in Lahaina. So that's why we went, okay, they're up there, and Lahaina Baptist Church is up there, and Salvation Army is up there. So we know there are some ministries and programs helping the people up in the Lahaina area. When we had to sit there and go, how do we choose which area to serve and go out?
I think
besides
I just wanted to continue on about the surprise associated with the pandemic not increasing numbers. I mean, to me, the last 6 months have been quite shocking with how real estate prices have increased.
Yes.
And, this is a real estate show. But we outreach to the community, and we work through Mahali o Maui, that we were some of the original funders of that, getting that started, and Friends of the Children's Justice Center are one of our favorite charities that we work with. But with the way prices have increased so dramatically, and some of the evictions happening, I know that fortunately there's a lot of new systems that are in place and funds that are available to get people, to stay in their homes and without having to deal with the eviction. Obviously, people are going and taking advantage of the increased prices and selling their properties. So sometimes, through having tenants move out, whether that's just an ohana or a whole property, that's why I would just assume, with the limited availability of rentals and the increase in prices, that we'd see more on the street. Have you noticed anything in the last several months just with everything, or we've been fortunate?
No, we haven't, and surprisingly, and we've been gearing up for that, and being ready. We talk about it on the board all the time. It's like, okay, we've got to get ready, because there's going to be the evictions, and we're going to see people out on the street who've never been out on the street before. But people there, with the promotion of the resources to assist people and renters and landlords and everyone, I think maybe the community is actually taking advantage of those, because we are not seeing people that are people. Most of the people we are serving now are the same ones we have seen for quite a while, or street friends from a while ago. Very rarely are we getting people who've never heard of us, who go, "Oh, who are you? You mean you just give things out for free?" And we don't take names or anything like that. Nobody has to qualify. We just,
you're there to help.
Yeah. So, yeah, to our surprise too, we actually had expected that we might have quite a few people, but that's not to be the case.
That's good to hear, though.
That, or they're not in the areas that we are traveling around in.
Well, if somebody's listening to this radio show and they need help, what number would you recommend them calling?
Okay, our phone number is, of course, 808-419-1637.
And if somebody wanted to donate in order to help you guys with resources, I know you don't take any state or federal funds, but the private, I mean, how would they connect with you? Do you have a website?
There is a website, but the best way would be just to send a check to A Cup of Cold Water. It's 2140 Main Street in Wailuku. That's 96793. And we are a 501c3, and the person would get a note or letter of thanks that they can use for their tax purposes if they wish.
The name Cup of Cold Water, is that what only you distribute? What kind of things do you, like, if I wanted to donate, or I wanted, what kind of things do you accept?
Or I tell people, think of cold, wet, rainy, miserable camping trip. That's type of gear that you would wear and want on that. That's what we need. We hardly ever see any children, which is a good thing. I remember when the pandemic started, other agencies came out and worked really hard to get families with children into shelters. That was their primary demographic group that they wanted to focus on first. But so we don't accept fancy women's things, like dressy stuff. But people, if they wanted to donate boots, things that people start working, maybe they'd be working in landscaping, so they'd want heavy gear. But really, it's things like sweatshirts, T-shirts, board shorts. Board shorts are in such demand there. Mm-hmm. Things like that, old tents, old camping gear that you may have, something warm. That's what they are looking for.
And if I had my car full of that stuff, where do I take it? Do I just call you up, Deb? Any
one of the Episcopalian churches has usually a bin, and just leave your name and contact information so that we can thank you properly for the donation.
Have you seen, or I've always thought I thought about this, as some of the unsheltered, have you heard any like success stories where, hey, the guy that was here for years now is not here anymore?
Yes. One of my favorites, which I'll always remember, is one fellow flagged the van down. I was driving that day. He said, "I want to thank you." And he didn't mean me personally. He said, "A Cup of Cold Water." He said, "I want to thank you because you took the time to treat me like a human being, all of you. You'd come out weekly. You talk to me, you care for me. And because of that, I started to feel better about myself. And because of that, I got myself into the shelter here. And now I've got a job. And it's all because you guys treated me like a human being."
Yeah.
And I think that today the unsheltered out there are kind of like today's lepers that people avoid. And it's true, there are some that are visible that have challenges and issues with addiction and mental health. And yeah, those are, people want to avoid those, and I can understand. But most of the people are there for one reason or another. I would say that if you talk to any of the men, not one of them will say, "Yeah, my parents really loved me and encouraged me and sent me to college, and it was really great." You won't find that. And you'll find that most of the women have been abused since they were children. We look at it, these are all God's children that just had everything set against them, probably from the time they were children. They've had a very, very rough life, and they have not had the love and support that most of us have had. And so they're out there for one reason and another. They get out there. There are families, we do see families that, we did, but not so much families anymore. People who are working in jobs just can't afford the rent. Rent's really, really high, and they can't afford it, but they're just fine people. I mean, they're sober, they're great. They just can't afford that. We see elderly people. We see a lot of elderly people that have nowhere else to go. We see veterans with post-traumatic stress that have a hard time reaching out to the VA. We do see people that have mental health and addiction challenges too, as well. Of course, we see them too. But for the most part, these are kind people, and they're very kind with each other for the most part. They'll take some things from the van and ask if they can take for their friends who, can't walk or farther away, or trying to look for a job or something like that. And so of course we say, yeah, of course we do that for them. So it's a full mix out there, and there isn't one answer for everyone, as they're all realizing now, all the different agencies trying to figure out what. And there's always going to be some people who will absolutely want to live outdoors. They just never would want to be inside a shelter ever, or a home.
Dave is one of those people. He's absolutely thrilled to be outside, and he's got family. He actually owns property, and he's been living on the streets for a very, very long time. And he'll see him, he'll disappear every once in a while because he goes to the mainland to visit family. And it's a lifestyle for some people, but there definitely are individuals who suffer from mental illness and use drugs to self-medicate, and that are out there. And it's one of the big questions I always have, and I've never really gotten a straight answer, is the guy that has all the plastic bags on his body. You usually see him in Kihei, and I've been seeing him venture out further on the Veterans Highway. I've heard a couple of different stories. I've heard that he was used to work at Longy's and got hit by a car and had a mental break. I've heard that he just basically appeared one day, and so do you get some of these stories? Do you know where that particular person comes from?
That person we've tried to serve, he kind of doesn't want to have contact with people. So we respect that when people go, no, we don't do that too. We've had, there was one fellow in Kihei who would be near the library, very, very shy. And what we learned was actually he was afraid of men, because when I had to go out on a team with all just women, and we're all really safe. And one thing I've learned when we go out with just women, that we never have any problems. Nobody's ever pushy or aggressive or anything like that. But then he got into a shelter and had a completely changed personality. We were talking, it was like, oh, you've changed. So they're difficult. We've seen, I remember one place where what we do, if we get donations in that we can't use, we will share them, like with Children's Justice League or Women Helping Women and things like that. And one of the other places that we brought some of our things that were donated that we couldn't use, this one wonderful lady came up and said, we were the ones, the hygiene, so her children could brush their teeth before they went to school. But now she's doing fine. She's got a place, she's got a job, but she remembered that the hygiene part was from a cup of cold water, and I thought that was really sweet.
And a lot of these people I know that can be temporary as well, and just in between housing. In the work that we've done for the homeless, one of the stories that I was a little surprised by is people that come into town. And, they have maybe a couple of grand to their name. That's they work out a place to stay with a roommate or whatnot. And then it end up coming into kind of an abusive situation in their house and just have to kind of abandon everything. Then, of course, once you end up on the street, it can be a very difficult cycle to get out of many times. So it's fantastic when there's resources available for people to be like, hey, there's safe places you can go. There's, housing assistance that you can get. And lift people back on their feet so that they can get up and take care of themselves, because there's a lot of shocking things that happen to people that put them in that situation. And people don't realize how traumatic things can be out there, and they just know their own life and just think, how could somebody let it get to this? It's like, you don't know where those people have been and what they've had to go through. So it's great to know that somebody like you is always out there to provide that assistance. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
We hand out information cards with resource contact information on the different resources in the Maui community too. And for example, when there were clinics at this vaccine clinics at the Salvation Army In Kahului, we were able to handle out the information so people could go there if they wanted to partake and get vaccinated. Yeah, we did that too. Another thing is when during the pandemic, when the jail released certain inmates to qualify to lower the contact risk in the jail, they released 98 people, and they literally opened the doors and gave them nothing with clothes on their back and said, "Go, just go." Nothing,
Wow.
not a dime, not a toothbrush or anything. And they'd show up at our place, which is great. I mean, we said, okay, look, we'll give you, clothes, we'll give you food. If we have a backpack available, we'll give you a backpack. And they were like, wow, we just got kicked out. And here we are. So
Wow.
yeah, so people come by, if people come by the Good Shepherd Church during the weekdays, if we're not doing a run, if someone's in the office or working in the supply room, we're more than happy to help with their needs and give them things. So that's an option for people too.
What's been your number one resource? I mean, who do you mostly find yourselves going to, not just for the supplies and things of that nature, but to help for housing specifically?
Well, we don't really push out for the housing. We let people make that because they know that, Family Life Center and Kahala Akaila are the shelter places that they go to. And they can also reach out to Salvation Army. So we have, at this point, what we do is try to keep them surviving and giving them encouragement on the street, while the other agencies and programs are doing what they're doing to try to move people into housing and off the streets.
That's wonderful.
Now, heading into the winter, is it a bigger time for us as a community to get involved because the weather changes a lot? Is that for the donations? And I guess the second question I have is, do I have to be part of the church to be, like, say if I wanted to be a volunteer?
Yes,
Yeah.
we always love donations, and no, you do not have to be part of any church at all whatsoever. We'd love to have volunteers. I really have enjoyed taking people out on the run so they can actually get to see what it's really like, because people have preconceived ideas of what the unsheltered are, who they are, how they live, and things like that. The other thing I've really enjoyed doing is taking out council members. Tasha Kama has come out and gone, oh my gosh, there are a whole lot of Hawaiian descent people. I said, yeah, a whole lot of Hawaiian descent people are out here. And so that's always been a really great eye opener. And what we also do encourage is the other agencies and programs to send a delegate, come with us and come out and see what's needed out there. Start a relationship, start talking with the people to find out find out exactly what they need and what your goals are for these people. So we're always encouraging people to come on a run with us and experience it. But
so I could join. I mean, like anybody could come volunteer. See what it's like, the grounds up. Because I think it's important that a lot of times, like we say, we're driving by the unsheltered and we have a quick thought about it, but we really don't understand what's really happening.
Right,
to me, it's important.
Yes, all you have to do is reach out to that number, the phone number, and we have one volunteer who answers that phone. And then what she does is right now I'm doing the scheduling, and I can schedule people in on a van run. So
and you had said earlier, if there wasn't on a van run, if some unsheltered or somebody needs something, they could always go up to the church.
Yes.
If someone is there and get some help or assistance.
Yes, if someone is there, yes, absolutely. Yes, we've been very, very blessed with a lot of good donations and things. So we're happy to help people.
But winter, Byron, you're worried about winter coming?
Well, I was just curious
where
about,
do you live? Is it going to snow? I mean, come on, man.
True.
We got to hand out ice skates because the ocean freezes every winter.
That was a bad choice of words. I guess what I should have said, as it gets colder and a little wetter, there's probably more of a need for the blankets, the clothing, right? I would presume.
Rain gear, tents, tarps, things like that. Yeah.
Switch from sunblock 95 down to 50,
And if I bring things or someone brings things in that are, like, say, not part of your list, or you'll be able to take that to another organization.
Yes.
Give it to them, right? Okay.
You always do. Nothing gets wasted. Absolutely.
Nice.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, Couple Coldwater has the most wonderful volunteers. They're such a team. They're very dedicated and they put in long hours. And there's also many, many businesses in the community who are also incredibly wonderful donors. A lot of the hotels and resorts, when they turn over their towels and sheets and things, will call us and donate to us. We feel very, very blessed and loved by the community here. The businesses help us. People help us, and the volunteers are absolutely wonderful. That we have a supply team that does some shopping for us and stocks the shelves, and then we have to stock the van, and then we have the people that go out and do the outreach and work with them and reach the people. It's a wonderful team. They're just terrific people. I think I get to work with.
Well, how many people do you think you work with right now? Out of
Right now,
curiosity, what's the
about
size of your
25 or
organization?
30 is probably what we have. Yeah,
25 or 30? Okay.
And
So
I
I'm
respect
assuming that,
if people are feeling like this is not a good time for them to go out in the community, that's
yeah,
fine. That's fine. It's
25 or 30 is a good number, but I'm assuming that with just the geographic area and the number of people who need to be serviced, I mean, you could probably deal with 100 in order to, maximize your reach.
Pre-pandemic, we had about 70 volunteers,
Okay.
and
So
we were
it's
able to go
actually
on three runs a week. We could do a Wednesday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. Then during the pandemic, our volunteers just dwindled. They pulled back, which is probably
yeah,
good.
like you said, a lot of them are
Healthy.
older and they need to make sure that they look out for themselves.
Right.
And it's great now that we have the vaccine available, and the efficacy of it has been wonderful. It's good to see that it's providing so much protection for those who are choosing to use it and give them the opportunity to get out there if they want. And I would definitely love to go out and help you. I mean, it's something that I've been really interested in. So I'll definitely give you a call. I'm always the kind of guy, I like to document things. I mean, you go to my Facebook page, you'll see little videos of my kids and stuff, and, going out there and helping friends with their businesses and things of that nature. And I don't know a delicate way to go ahead and document the process and the people you help. So I'd probably have to put the camera down just to, give people the privacy that they deserve. But I'd love to help. That would be wonderful.
It would be wonderful to have you out. Well, we don't take photographs of the people.
Yeah, I imagine.
What we do, we also bring dog food and cat food, and we have taken.
That's true. I bet a lot of people have pets,
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah, and the women need dogs because the dogs warn them when someone's coming up at night.
Oh, that's a good point.
So the women, that's very, and things like we've learned why people like long socks. If people donate socks, because then what they do is they put the socks over their pants legs at night, so the centipedes don't crawl up their pants at night.
Yikes. Okay, socks are a good one. I wouldn't think that socks would be something that's an important factor being here in Hawaii, but yeah, evening time helping repel bugs, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Is there any other donations that, obviously not ice skates, but what are you thinking that would be, a little out of the norm for a Hawaii donation? Obviously food and clothes, as you mentioned, warm clothes, tents, but something, unusual, because to me, socks seems kind of unusual.
We say if you want to donate food, make sure it's a non-perishable item, because what we do is it's more like little snack packs that we give out, granola bars and little canned things. Hygiene, Band-Aids, first aid, things like that. We don't give out any medicine like Tylenol or anything like that, but a little Neosporin for wounds and wound care type of
wound care. Okay, first aid.
First aid is really necessary out there for that. Board shorts. At those surfers.
I'll have to talk to a couple of my people I know that are in the industry of producing materials. Maybe they have some runs of something that they'd love to donate. So I'll see what I can do there too.
Because, thank you.
It's perfect weather out here, but it does lend yourself to needing durable clothes. And believe it or not, I live in my board shorts when I'm not working, and they are just, the everyday wear, comfortable, breathable, durable life choice here in Maui. So I would imagine that being a perfect thing for being unsheltered.
I like them. They're comfortable.
Deb, I guess my last question for you is, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Deb?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see. My husband and I moved here be 15 years ago next month, and absolutely love it. I grew up in the Philadelphia area and lived in Oregon for almost 30 years and used to come on vacation here. We were very fortunate to be able to come over here and move here. Prior to being in here, when I was in Oregon, in Eugene, I was a first responder with victim services for a decade. And that was actually a division of the district attorney's office there. It was a different division than what they have over here. Here, they have people that help people through the court systems and restraining orders and things, but we were actually sent out to crime scenes and hospitals and things to help people to, we went to rapes, domestic violence, murder, suicide, death notifications, and things like that. So that the police could do what they needed to do, and the hospital personnel could do what they needed to do, because we were under safety and security, and we were hugely trained, highly trained for that. That's what I did here. I'm also here now, a professional artist. And
All right.
in my other time too. So
It's a beautiful painting behind you, by the way. Is that yours?
Oh, no, that's a Dan Gerhardt's.
Well, it's terrible. I don't like it. No, just kidding.
I wish. Yeah, no, that's right.
It's lovely work.
How many children and grandchildren do you have?
We have 6 children between us, and we have 6 grandchildren.
Nice.
I bet that number is going to explode over time.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, could you give us? I think. Could you give us the contact number again? Right, Clint?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
More opportunities to reach out to you, the better.
Yeah. Whatever you want to say. Here's your chance, Deb.
We'd love to hear from you. Come take a ride with us on one of our runs. Here's our phone number to reach us. It's area code 808-419-1637. And people have a good time when they go on the runs with us.
And they can. Oh, sorry.
419-6317.
419-1637.
1637. All right, hold on. 808-419-1637. All right, you're going to get a call from me. All right.
Right.
And the way I looked it up, you can just do a search. If you just do a search, a cup of cold water Maui, boom, it pops up. That's the way I kind of did it.
Yeah, that's the way to find it, because there are a couple cold waters on the mainland. So a couple cold water Maui will get you to us.
Perfect.
Oh, okay. So thank you so much. I really appreciate teaching us today about the services that you guys are providing and helping connect people to different resources that are out there. And this is a fantastic way to get to know another, relatively overlooked part of the Maui community. These are people who are often born and raised on Maui. And, a lot of people don't really get that. I mean, a lot of times I see them saying all these mainlanders coming over here and, becoming homeless, but these are Maui people. You forget to realize that, homelessness and the unsheltered is something that affects us all. And this Maui is their home. So donating to services like this helps you reach out to Maui people and also give the services and make Maui a better community for all of us. So they are, cup of cold water here on Maui could definitely use help. So if you want to get out there with me and get out there and help pass out these materials and educate the unsheltered, please give a call to that 808-419-1637. Byron Yap, thank you so much. I always appreciate you setting up interviews like this. This is a fantastic resource for the island. And
yes.
And Deb, thank you so much for everything you do. I really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to end on?
Just thank you so much for having interest in a cup of cold water. And I really look forward to having you all on a run and seeing what we're doing.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Again, go ahead.
I'll go. I'm fine.
I'm wrapping up.
Wrap it up.
It's always a hard thing with Zoom because there's always that like half a second delay. So it's just like, but this is Clint Hansen with Maui Luxury Real Estate on MauiRealEstateRadio.com. You can listen to this and all shows there at MauiRealEstateRadio.com. We're broadcasting on the KAOI radio group, 1110 AM, 97.6 FM, 98.7 FM, and our friends on the west side at 95.5 FM. Aloha, thank you, and have a great day.